Ladies and gentlemen, there are seasons in life when we feel as though we are standing on the edge of something vast and unknown. We sense the wind shifting, though we cannot yet see where it is leading. Such moments are not random. They are divine preparation signs that God is orchestrating a transformation in your life. But how do we discern them? How do we recognize when the hand of the Almighty is moving us toward a major level up? Today I will share with you 7 signs that God is preparing you for something greater. These signs may not always be comfortable, nor will they always make sense in the moment, but if you perceive them rightly, they will fill your heart with faith instead of fear. There are moments in life when doors that once stood open suddenly close, leaving us bewildered and uncertain. We knock, we push, we plead, but the door remains firmly shut. It is in these moments that frustration and doubt creep in, tempting us to question whether we have missed our way or if we are being abandoned in the process. But what if closed doors are not meant to punish us but to protect us? What if they are not a sign of rejection but an indication of redirection? What if, instead of an end, they are the very beginning of something far greater than we could imagine? When God closes a door, He is not simply removing an opportunity, He is aligning us with His divine purpose. Often we become so attached to our plans that we fail to recognize when something no longer serves us. We cling to what is familiar because it is comfortable, mistaking comfort for calling. But God, in His wisdom, knows what we cannot see. He sees the dangers ahead, the pitfalls we might stumble into, the opportunities that would lead us astray rather than elevate us. A closed door may feel like a setback, but in reality it is divine protection and preparation for something greater. Many times we assume that if something is good, it must be from God. But not everything that appears good is God's best for us. He does not merely want us to settle for what is good, He wants us to walk into what is meant for us. When a door closes, it is often because what is behind it is not in alignment with our destiny. It may be a job that looks promising but would drain our spirit, a relationship that feels right but would hinder our growth, or an opportunity that shines on the surface but would leave us empty in the end. God does not take away to leave us in lack, He removes to make space for something better. It is human nature to mourn what is lost, to feel the sting of rejection and wonder why things did not go as planned. But what if we changed our perspective? Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" we could ask, "What is God making room for?" Instead of pounding on closed doors, we could trust that something greater is ahead. Closed doors are not the end of the story, they are an invitation to trust, to surrender, and to step into a new beginning. If a door has closed in your life, take heart. It is not by accident, it is a sign that God is leading you forward, even if you cannot yet see where. In time, the purpose will be revealed, and what once felt like loss will be seen as gain. The door that shut behind you is not nearly as important as the one that is about to open ahead. Trust the process, for every closed door is a step toward the next chapter God has prepared. There comes a time in life when an unshakable restlessness stirs within us. It is not mere dissatisfaction, nor is it the fleeting discontent that arises from unmet desires. It is deeper, more persistent, and impossible to ignore. This restlessness does not arise from external circumstances but from within, a silent yet insistent whisper that calls us to something more. It is not rooted in greed or ambition but in the quiet awareness that where we are is no longer where we are meant to be. It is a holy restlessness, a divine stirring that signals that God is preparing us for greater things. This restlessness appears when everything seems stable. The life you once found fulfilling suddenly feels incomplete. The routines that once brought you comfort now seem monotonous. What used to inspire you now feels insufficient. It is not that anything is necessarily wrong, but something inside you knows there is more. This is not a sign of failure or a lack of gratitude, it is a sign of growth. Just as a bird outgrows its nest and longs for the sky, your soul begins to long for what it was created for. This feeling is not to be feared but embraced, for it is God's way of drawing you out of the familiar and into the extraordinary. When God is calling you to a higher purpose, He will often allow you to feel unsettled in your current place. He does this not to frustrate you, but to prepare you. A caterpillar, once content crawling, eventually feels the instinctive urge to cocoon itself for transformation. Likewise, you are being prepared for something beyond what you have known. If you never felt this restlessness, you might never seek change. If you never grew uncomfortable, you might never take the necessary steps toward growth. God allows the tension so that you will not settle for less than what He has planned for you. Many resist this restlessness, attempting to silence it with distractions or temporary comforts. But no amount of entertainment, work, or busyness can suppress a calling that is meant to be answered. Ignoring it does not make it go away, it only prolongs the journey. The sooner you lean into it, the sooner you will recognize that God is not taking something from you, but leading you towards something greater. This holy restlessness is a gift. It is an invitation to trust, to seek, and to move forward in faith. Though the path ahead may be uncertain, though the destination may not yet be clear, the one who calls you is faithful. He would not stir your heart without a purpose, nor would he awaken desire without providing the means to fulfill it. If you feel this restlessness, do not resist it. Lean into it, seek God's guidance, and be willing to step into the unknown. For in that very discomfort lies the beginning of something new, something greater, something divinely orchestrated for your good. Trials are never easy to endure, yet they are often the very tools God uses to shape, strengthen, and prepare us for the next level of our journey. When difficulties arise, it is natural to question why they are happening. We may wonder if we have done something wrong, or if we have been forgotten. But in reality, trials are not signs of abandonment, they are evidence of preparation. Just as gold is refined in fire and diamonds are formed under pressure, so too are we molded through challenges. God does not send trials to break us, but to build us. He allows us to walk through seasons of hardship, not as punishment, but as a means of refining our character, deepening our faith, and equipping us for the greater purpose ahead. Every person destined for something great will face seasons of difficulty. Look at the stories of those who were mightily used by God. Before David became king, he spent years in hiding, running from Saul, enduring betrayal, and facing discouragement. Before Joseph ruled in Egypt, he was thrown into a pit by his own brothers, sold into slavery, and imprisoned for a crime he did not commit. Before Moses led the Israelites to freedom, he spent 40 years in the wilderness tending sheep. In each case, the trial was not the end of their story, it was the training ground for what was to come. Without those experiences, they would not have developed the strength, wisdom, and trust in God required to step into their calling. When we face trials, we have two choices. We can resist them and grow bitter, or we can embrace them and grow stronger. If we view difficulties as mere obstacles, we may become discouraged and give up. But if we see them as divine preparation, we will find the endurance to keep going. Hard times teach us lessons that success never could. They reveal the areas where we still need to grow, refine our patience, and build resilience. They strip away false security, forcing us to rely not on our own strength but on God's unfailing power. Trials also test our faith. It is easy to trust God when everything is going well, but true faith is proven in adversity. Do we believe in His promises when circumstances seem to contradict them? Do we trust His timing when waiting feels unbearable? Do we hold on to hope when everything around us tells us to give up? The testing of our faith produces perseverance, and perseverance leads to the kind of maturity and strength that can sustain us at the next level. If you find yourself in the midst of a trial, take heart. It is not the end of your story. It is a season of training, a period of refinement, a preparation for what is coming next. The very thing that seems to be holding you back may be the thing that is actually preparing you for promotion. Trust the process, endure the fire, and know that on the other side of this challenge, there is something greater waiting for you. There comes a time in every journey of growth when the things that once felt natural no longer seem to fit. The routines, habits, and even relationships that once brought comfort now feel restrictive. What used to satisfy no longer fulfills. This is not a sign of loss or failure, but an indication that you are changing, evolving, and being prepared for something greater. When God is moving you into a new season, He often makes the old one uncomfortable. He stirs your heart, making it impossible to stay where you are, not because where you have been is bad, but because it is no longer where you belong. Growth requires shedding what no longer serves you. A snake cannot stay in old skin, and a butterfly cannot return to the cocoon. What once covered you now constrains you, and what once felt like home now feels unfamiliar. This is not something to resist but to embrace. When you outgrow certain patterns, it is because God is leading you into a higher level of purpose. He is calling you to new ways of thinking, new habits, and new surroundings that align with where He is taking you. Holding on to what no longer fits will only slow your progress and keep you tied to a season that has already passed. There may be relationships that once felt effortless but now feel strained. People who once understood you may no longer relate to your journey. Conversations that once excited you may now seem shallow or unfulfilling. This is a difficult but necessary part of stepping into the next phase of your life. Not everyone is meant to go with you where God is taking you. Some connections were for a season, meant to teach you something, but not meant to last forever. It is not about rejecting people, but about recognizing when paths are diverging. Clinging to relationships out of comfort or nostalgia can hinder growth. Instead of feeling guilty for moving forward, trust that God will bring the right people into your life at the right time. Even personal habits and ways of thinking may no longer serve you. The excuses that once seemed reasonable now sound empty. The distractions that once entertained you now feel meaningless. The things that once held you back can no longer be ignored. God is calling you to discipline, to intentionality, to a higher standard. What was acceptable in one season may no longer be appropriate in the next. Growth requires sacrifice, and sometimes that means letting go of what is familiar to make space for something greater. This process is not always easy. Change can be uncomfortable, and leaving behind what you have known can feel unsettling. But staying in a place where you no longer belong is far more painful than stepping into the unknown. When God removes something from your life, it is because He is making room for something better. Trust the discomfort, lean into the change, and embrace the new season that is waiting for you. There are seasons in life when God begins to shift things around us, and in that shift, new people and opportunities start to appear. Sometimes these changes happen subtly, like a slow unfolding, and other times they arrive suddenly, disrupting everything we once knew. Either way, they are never accidental. When God is preparing us for something greater, He often sends the right people and aligns the right opportunities to help move us forward. This is not mere coincidence, but divine orchestration, a clear sign that He is guiding us into a new season. Before new doors open, old ones must close. People we once walked closely with may drift away, and circumstances that once felt stable may begin to shift. It is in these moments that uncertainty can creep in, making us question whether we are on the right path. But God never takes something away without having a greater plan in place. Sometimes we hold on to relationships and situations because they are familiar, even when they no longer align with our growth. But when we trust that God is leading us, we begin to realize that the people He removes from our lives were not meant to go with us into the next season. Their departure is not a rejection, it is a redirection. As we release the old, we make room for the new. God places people in our path who will encourage, challenge, and inspire us. These individuals may come unexpectedly through a chance encounter, a new job, or an invitation we never considered before. At first they may not seem significant, but over time we begin to realize their role in our journey. They are sent to help us grow, to refine our perspective, and to push us toward what we have been called to do. The right people at the right time can speak life into our dreams, open doors we never knew existed, and provide wisdom that changes our direction entirely. Opportunities also begin to appear, sometimes in ways we did not anticipate. Perhaps a job offer comes seemingly out of nowhere, or a door that was once tightly shut suddenly swings open. It may not always look like what we expected, and at times it may even feel overwhelming. But when God places an opportunity in front of us, it is not by accident. These moments require faith to step forward, to take risks, and to embrace the unknown. Too often, fear of change or feelings of unworthiness hold us back, but we must remember that if God has provided an opportunity, He has already equipped us for it. The key is to remain open and discerning. Not every new person or opportunity is from God, but when He is at work, the pieces fit together in ways we never could have arranged on our own. If you find yourself in a season where new relationships are forming and unexpected doors are opening, do not resist it. Instead, lean in with faith, knowing that God is aligning you with exactly what you need for the journey ahead. There comes a point in every journey where faith is tested, stretched, and pushed beyond its limits. It is in these moments, when answers seem distant and obstacles seem immovable, that we are being prepared for something greater. Before every promotion, before every breakthrough, faith must be refined. God does not move us to the next level without first strengthening our trust in Him. He allows us to walk through uncertainty, not to harm us, but to teach us that faith is not built in comfort, it is forged in the waiting, in the struggles, and in the moments when we have no choice but to rely on Him completely. Faith is often stretched when we are asked to step into the unknown, We are given a vision of what could be, but the path to get there is unclear. God does not always provide the full picture, but He gives us just enough light for the next step. He asks us to trust, to move forward even when we cannot see the outcome. This is where many falter, hesitating at the edge of uncertainty, afraid to take the step that could change everything. Yet faith is not about seeing, it is about believing even when nothing around us seems to confirm the promise. When God is preparing us for a higher level, He often removes the crutches we once leaned on. The resources that used to sustain us may no longer be available. The people who once supported us may step back. The opportunities that once came easily may suddenly seem scarce. It is in this stretching that God teaches us not to rely on external security, but to place our trust fully in Him. If everything came easily, if every door opened without resistance, faith would never be required. But God allows moments of struggle, because He knows that what is ahead will demand a deeper level of trust than what we have known before. Waiting is one of the greatest tests of faith. There are seasons where it feels as though nothing is happening, as if our prayers have gone unanswered. In these moments it is tempting to doubt, to question, and to wonder if we misunderstood the promise. But faith is refined in the waiting, in the endurance, in the unwavering belief that even when we see no progress, God is still working. Those who give up too soon miss the very blessing that was just beyond the trial. Those who persevere, who continue to trust despite the silence, will see the fulfillment of what was promised. Faith must be stretched, because promotion brings greater responsibility. The next level requires a deeper trust, a stronger belief, and a confidence that is unshaken by circumstances. The stretching may be uncomfortable, but it is necessary. It is in these moments of testing that God is preparing us for the weight of what is to come. If you find yourself in a season where your faith is being challenged, do not lose heart. You are being prepared, strengthened, and refined for something far greater than you can imagine.